Hi, everybody. My name is Kate Mozynski. Pronouns are she, they, and I am the Northeast Ohio based staff attorney for the Equality Ohio Legal Clinic. What that means is that I provide direct representation to clients in a number of different practice areas that we use to serve clients here at our legal clinic. So sometimes that means going to court, sometimes that means drafting letters, sometimes that means helping people find social services that are appropriate to support some of their needs that are not necessarily legal in nature, but are quasi legal and are impacting their legal stability. So we like to think of ourselves in terms of what we call stabilization law, right? So the way I look at my job is when I am speaking with an individual who's a client, what barriers can we help remove so that that person is able to thrive, right? Sometimes when people have legal problems, it's like a snowball going down a hill. It picks up and picks up and picks up and picks up. So, you are concerned because you're not going to be able to pay your rent, right? And the reason you can't pay your rent is because you've got to repair your car. And the reason you've got to repair your car is because you've got to get to your job so that you can pay your rent, right? And it just snowballs. And then, all of a sudden somebody is potentially facing an eviction, right? So the idea is to figure out what we can do to stop the snowball and also figure out what to do so that individuals are able to stabilize and thrive. I like to tell my clients that ideally I will leave you in a place where you don't need me anymore. Right? What can I do to help get your life back on track so that you feel like you are able to just go out there and kill it and be awesome, right? And be your authentic self. So we do that in a number of different areas. We assist with issues of discrimination. We assist with name changes. We assist with family law, gender marker corrections, landlord-tenant issues. There's a big long list. You can find out more about the big long list on the website, which is equalityohio.org. So like many people on staff, have kind of a roundabout journey as to how I got here. I knew from high school probably that I wanted to do something where I felt like I could make a difference and do some sort of activism work. And for me, I kind of like many queer kids, you don't really find your place until you're in high school or afterwards. For me, I found my place in high school debate. I loved it. And it just was like kind of the first time for me that I felt like I could really be my authentic self, right? So debate made me realize, like, hey, I really, really love advocacy. I really, really like research. And I feel like I'm good at this. How can I take this thing that I'm good at and give it back to my community, right? So I went to college and then I figured, you know what, I think I'm going to go to law school. And I went into law school with the desire specifically of working in public interest work. I wanted to do that. I wanted to be able to help people, right? And I'm always really conscious of the privilege that I have, right? So I'm genderqueer, but I am definitely identified by most folks as female presenting. That's cool. And I'm pansexual, but I also am partnered with an individual who's male identified, right? So even though I'm of the community, I'm aware of a lot of position of privilege that I have based on how society perceives me, right? So for me, it became really important to try and figure out how can I use my advocacy skills and my position of privilege to amplify the voices of individuals who might not have the same resources and privilege that I do. And I say amplify very, very intentionally because I feel like it's really important to amplify but not talk over those voices, right? So I went to law school. While I was in law school, I had the opportunity to work at a project in Kampala, Uganda, called Refugee Law Project. And I was working specifically in direct legal services for what they called their gender and sexuality unit. So this was providing direct services for folks who self-identified as LGBTQ or folks who were survivors of gender-based violence. And I kind of I wanted that job because I wanted to test myself to see, is this right for me, right? Do I have the emotional capacity, the ability to serve this population of humans. And I found out that I loved it, that I did, and that all I wanted to do was direct service, and I wanted to test it out. So I did a bunch of other stuff, and I worked on like a policy level, and then I did some appellate defense work internationally, and I loved all of that because it was intellectually stimulating. It was really, really fun, interesting, like dynamic work. But my heart just kept going back to direct services, and I was just like, all I want to do is directly serve humans. And um, eventually, I came back to Ohio, and I worked in a job that was not a good fit for me at all for a little while, not in the public interest sector. Didn't really work for me. And I realized that there's so much need here. There's so much need like in my community. And I had intended to, go out of state, and, potentially go to like New York. I took the New York bar, and I thought about doing that. And then I realized that like that dynamic, challenging work, I didn't have to go across the world to find that. That dynamic work is right here in serving our communities, and it's even closer to home because, I'm serving a community that is my community, right? And that's a really unique opportunity that I have in this job, that I get to represent, humans who need representation, but represent them in a way where I can do my part to try and change hearts and minds of folks who are in the justice system. So sometimes that means I say lovingly educating the court system about like a trans identity or like not misgendering people or whatever, and we can make that change that way, right? But I like to think of my job as twofold, right? Because I am representing individuals who have legal needs and helping them with their legal needs directly. But I also hope that some of my impact in my work can be to improve access to justice generally for folks who identify as LGBTQ plus here in Ohio, because there's, we're up against a lot, y'all. We're up against a lot. And anyone who says that we're not up against a lot is lying, but that doesn't mean that we can't take it on, right? So that's kind of why I love my job. It's why I love my job. I love being able to give back to the community that has accepted my authentic self. And I like to be able to accept my clients as their authentic selves, and to help them, navigate the world in which they can live that way and openly be authentic and have access to the same legal and lived equality that someone outside of the community would have. So it's really, really important to me. That's why I do this work. And I never in my life before have felt like I can go to sleep every single night feeling like I did something positive to make someone's life better. But in this job, I can. And even in like really, really hard days, or days that are emotionally exhausting, or days where like court doesn't go the way you wanted it to, and you just got like a really bad ruling or whatever. Every time I go to sleep at night, I'm just like, you know what? Even though, I might not have won this case, or even though like this bad thing happened, I truly do believe, like in my heart, and it sounds cheesy, but I truly do believe that my job makes that individual human's life better, by getting them access to some of the resources that they might need. And even if it's not a perfect fit, it can still be a net improvement. And maybe like I'm not changing the world, but I always go to sleep feeling like I'm changing my little corner of it. And yeah, I love this job.
Happy Pride, everyone! I'm Siobhan Boyd Nelson, she, her pronouns, from Equality, Ohio. For Pride Month, we are celebrating by uploading a new video to YouTube every weekday for the entire month. If you would like to support Equality Ohio, like, subscribe, or share this video. Or to support us directly, you can donate at equalityohio.org. Thanks, and happy Pride Month.